Well, hello, Matt.
JP, how's
We
things?
we meet again.
Yes, we are.
So our last episode, we went into our Shaker Six story, the kind of the early stages, the first part, if you will, of the Shaker Six story. And today, what we wanted to do was continue that story and kind of go in a little bit deeper into uh, what happened, how we ultimately got the deal, how we worked on it, lessons that we learned that were easy, and lessons that we learned that were painful, and that's it. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things, but we'll kind of continue where we left off, which was really our strategy for how to position to win. And that was important for us because, truthfully, we are, one can consider an early stage company, right? Even though we've got a decent amount of units under our belt, we self-manage our properties. And I will say, we're proud to say that the properties that we are managing are performing extremely well. We are well ahead of our numbers based on our pro forma projections. Our NOI number is ahead of what those projections are, and our occupancy levels are close to 100%. So we're doing the right things. However, some people in the industry will say that, well, because of our unit count, 235, anything beyond that it might be too much for us to handle. But we'll get into that challenge later on. But for today, we want to talk about how do we position ourselves? What sort of things did we do to make ourselves look more accomplished than perhaps that we are? So Matt, when you reached out to the broker on this deal, the Shaker Six deal,
hmm
what sort of things did you try to use or employ to help position yourself as a credible buyer, as someone that can close, a real closer?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So obviously we talked a little bit about the projects and the things that we've done before in the past. And I mean, to be quite honest with you, I think in the beginning, the broker kind of, might have blown me off a little bit as probably someone who wasn't in a position to be able to get as far as what we did, on this project. Just kind of a gut feeling. That's kind of what I thought from the get-go. But I was persistent. I just kept after him, and he was asking a lot of different steps for us to kind of walk through, different hoops for us to jump through that had we had more experience, we wouldn't have had to have done. So obviously a big thing was with the equity and all of that. So we had to quite literally reach out to our network of investors and have people send us bank statements quite literally, and show what type of liquidity the group had. And we were able to get up to a level where they were comfortable with with taking us seriously. So I can't even. I'm trying to remember all of the different steps, but it was a lot of chest puffing and posturing, and trying to stand out in a group of people right now. And quite honestly, there is quite a few more experienced groups, real estate investment groups that were more experienced than us going after this. So we had quite a bit of competition, and again, we had to just keep pounding through, slugging through all of that. And we ended up having so when you go through this process, typically you'll submit what's called an LOI, which is a letter of intent. So you go through all of your underwriting, you go through all of your evaluation of the property. They'll let you come and walk the property. So we actually walked all 6 properties with the maintenance person. We got to interview the maintenance person. So we understood what current condition the property was in, at least for some of the building. Obviously we didn't walk through all of them yet, but we typically, you'll put in an LOI, which is basically this is our letter of intent, this is sort of our plan, this is what we're offering, this is how long we would take to do due diligence, this is how long we would take to close. So
it's purchase price and terms. That's
basically,
the
yes.
gist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we put that offer in, the letter of intent in, and a number of weeks went by. This was probably January or so of 2020. And NMHC, which is a large real estate investment or multifamily real estate investment organization had their yearly annual national convention down in Orlando. So JP and I are on the board of what are we on? What board are we
I
on?
think we're the board of directors.
Directors?
I think
Yes.
I think we paid a bunch of money
So
for that. So we don't
exactly.
know.
So we need to use that term a little bit more often. But at any rate, so we're on the board of directors of an NMHC. So we were down there hobnobbing with all the other investors going after multifamily properties, quite literally all around the country.
Yep.
And we had our interview for Shaker 6 at NMHC, which typically you'll have an interview once you. So I should back up a little bit. Once you put your LOI in, and you're selected as one of the quote unquote best and final offers, which basically means the seller likes your terms, they like the purchase price. They want to just learn a little bit more, sharpen your pencil, learn a little bit more about each one of the real estate investment groups. There's an interview process where typically the owner participates in that, or I should say the seller participates in that process. And again, they ask all kinds of different questions. And this is really, kind of one of the key stages to winning a project is how you perform in this interview. And JP, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are typically talked about in the best and final interview?
Yes. So it's these interviews, especially in the beginning, are pretty stressful. It's really like a job interview, and I feel like I was well prepared for this because as a salesperson or a former salesperson, getting grilled by customers or basically having to sell yourself to manufacturers when you're partnering on things, I'm kind of used to that sort of thing. So I think we presented a really good front. But basically, they ask you questions about, tell us about your group. Tell us about where your equity. That's the biggest question really, is your equity. Or where is equity is
where's the money coming from?
Where's the money? How are you going to pay for this? Clearly, you're not going to cut a check. So how are you going to convince, and who have you convinced to cut you lots of checks or one big check or many checks to buy this property? Who are you using for your debt? Where's your mortgage going to come from? Tell us about how you underwrote the property. What kind of cap rates did you use? Please explain that. And you need to be prepared to have answers to those questions like that. You can't do the I'm not sure. You have to be very confident. And this is where the positioning and the posturing comes in. It might even be good if you've got a partner. By the way, I recommend having a partner in this. Practice being a good bad cop with respect to the interviewing broker and how you're going to respond to those questions. And the nice part is, just like everything else, you get better and it comes more naturally. And if this is a new endeavor for you, where you're kind of leaving one industry and kind of going into commercial real estate and trying to figure that out, it does get easier as time goes by and you get these at-bats. But really just having, so here's some answers for questions, right? So talk to us about where your equity is going to come from. So we've got many established relationships with friends and family. We've been working on expanding our network of relationships with private equity groups, family offices, and equity brokers. And we will be reaching out to those brokers and groups when we get the deal under contract, something like along those lines. But you have to speak confidently about it and speak, matter-of-factly or even truthfully, right? You don't want to embellish or lie. And those are all true statements. We've raised money before for other deals through friends and family. We had been in talks with these different groups or brokers that represent equity groups or family offices, and that's absolutely true. Other questions that they would ask you were about maybe your process for inspection. Do you need to see? This is a funny one too. Do you need to inspect all of the units? Matt and I share the philosophy that yes, you want to look at all 100% of them. There are some groups that are okay with not checking them. It's more like a statistical thing. Well, if we check 80% of them, we're good degree of confidence they're all pretty much like that. However, Matt, didn't we find an issue in one of the units at Shaker?
We did, yeah. So Shaker 6 has one, I guess you could consider it a down unit. It's certainly vacant right now.
We didn't know about that.
Yeah, no one mentioned this unit, but basically the whole unit needs to be completely gutted. What had happened was there was a steam pipe so that building is heated by steam. So a steam pipe burst in this unit, and no one was in that unit. And so there's steam just billowing out, in this unit for I don't even know how long. They have pictures, or we have pictures of like ceiling fans, which are made out of some kind of like cardboard composite type material. Like the blades on the fans are all like drooping over and all that. There's mold on the ceilings, mold on the walls. So yeah, that unit needs to be, mold abatement and all of that. So, we had we not inspected all 100 units, we're being walked through when you go through the inspection process. And I guess we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit here.
Let's leave that part out.
We'll get. Yep,
so back to positioning. And I want to mention another thing that we did early on. Well, there's two things that we did with respect to trying to gain favor and build relationships. So back up, commercial real estate is really heavily influenced by relationships, right? People want to work with people they like. So by the way, PS, don't be a jerk. And so Matt did a really great job of trying to build rapport with the sales broker and also build rapport with the loan broker. So we'll back up for a second. A lot of brokerages that sell deals, that work on behalf of the seller, they also have realized, hey, if we bring our debt or mortgage services in-house, we can make it a one-stop shop for our customers. So this particular firm had a mortgage broker that we started to build a relationship with. His name is Brian. Brian's a great guy. And we figured, well, you know what? Because we're a relatively new entity to the sales broker, we figured he would find comfort and maybe recommend us or suggest us compared to other groups if we were going to work with their mortgage guy. And what that means is the sales broker has a personal relationship with the mortgage broker, and he has visibility into the whole transaction behind the scenes as we get under contract, as we work towards close. So that was part of our initial strategy. And we also early on brought in a debt guy. His name is Austin, from a lender that we've worked with in the past. And Austin did a great job of helping sell us on the fact that we had closed the deal before. We were easy to work with. We did what we say we were going to do, and had him come walk the property with us, get his eyes on it, and again help give more comfort to the deal broker himself, knowing that our debt had seen the property, they like the property, and they are committed to helping us get debt for the property. That's important. And we actually worked out an arrangement where we can work with Austin and Brian at the same time, and everyone can get paid. That was really important. So that was a really, I think, critical part for us, was to build a good rapport with their in-house mortgage team. This time we had a relationship with the mortgage guy on our side, Austin, get him involved to help kind of sell our credibility and help try to relieve any potential concern about not being able to close, especially on the debt side. And I think that was very important. And it turned out later on, as the story unfolds, how important it was, because Brian was critical in helping us get to a position where we had another crack at this. So I'm getting to the next thing. So you want to wrap this up with the final decision after we did all this posturing?
Yeah. So we again, we had this meeting, this interview, sitting in an empty, and that wasn't because of COVID. It was just they actually reserve restaurants essentially at NMHC. So we were in an empty restaurant, the four of us around a round table doing this interview, and the broker basically walked away and said, hey, look, you guys have done everything that I've asked you to do. You've jumped through all of these hoops. Really appreciate it. Everything that you guys have presented is exactly spot on. So we did our job up to that point. We made a great first impression, and building this relationship over the course of probably a month or so, give or take, month and a half. So again, we did everything right. And unfortunately, we lost the contract. We were not awarded the contract. So that was the big realization that, obviously you can do a lot of work and put a lot of effort, which I think actually we even created the marketing package, or at least the beginning of it, which we'll get into the marketing package and the importance of that. But there's quite a bit of work that goes into that. But we had this marketing package ready, because we felt very, very confident that we were going to be awarded this project. And afterwards, we talked to both the listing broker and the loan broker that JP was mentioning, and both of them thought that we were absolutely one of the top runners to win this contract. But so there ended up being, I think it was 4 groups in the best and final, us being one of them. And 3 of the groups were all going through Brian's loan brokerage. So he had, pretty good insight into how all of these other groups were performing. So again, that's why they felt we were sort of the top of the heap there. And lo and behold, the 4th group, who was not working with Brian, had a relationship with the seller. And so ultimately, we think that they probably used this process, which quite honestly, we don't have enough experience in this situation yet. We think that this might happen quite frequently, but basically they used this process to more or less establish the purchase price for the property. So they said, hey, we've got, this group that's willing to pay this group that's willing to pay this group that's willing to pay that. We already have a relationship with you. Can you pay, I'm assuming the most, whatever group came in the highest, can you pay that? And the seller, or I should say the buyer, that was awarded the contract said yes. And they awarded the contract to that seller or to that buyer.
And we were also told that there was a relationship in common there, that the group, the buyer and the seller had someone in connection they knew, and they felt more confident in their ability to close as a result of that relationship.
Yep. So
who knows? The bottom line is we weren't selected. And so we were a little crestfallen about it, but I think a couple of good things came out of that. It was great experience. We got to build a relationship and a rapport with the deal broker, the loan broker, our other lender guy, and it helps. All this helps get your reps in, as they say, about just getting experience. And this marketing brochure that Matt had put a lot of time into was important as well, because once those things are done, that collateral is done, that content's done, you can reuse that for other purposes. It's great. You can share it with other investors. You can share it with other partners. You can share it with other groups. Here's the sort of deals that we go after. And they look through this very well done, high quality, multi-page report on our offering, which doesn't go to waste. You either reuse it or you repurpose it somewhere else. And it's not a bad thing. It sucks because you want the gratification of getting into contract, right? Which is what you always want to do. But sometimes it doesn't work out. And there's good times and bad times, but it's all good. We're glad that it worked out that way. And when we come back next time, we'll pick up the story where
the story doesn't end there.
It doesn't end there. It seems like it does. It just goes on pause.
Shaker 6 lives on. So.
Exactly. Well, Matt, it was great hearing this part of the story, and I look forward to catching up on the next one.
Sounds great.
All right. See you later.
Bye.